Beyond the narrative. Beyond the narrative.
Best in class, so pray for my peers. Slingshot bullet that's clear. Your weak shots couldn't pierce through bulletproof ears. A martyr, a menace. I'm leading horses to drink and pulling teeth like I'm feeding the dentist.
Beyond the narrative.
All right, today we have a very, very special episode. We have 10-Day Tony from the Dan Le Batard Show joining us. He's also joining the BMG family. But before we get into all that, who is 10-Day Tony? How did you get that name, 10-Day Tony?
So, as you can tell by the introduction, nobody can really say my last name. You have to practice it for a long time to finally be able to get it.
Before we started shooting, but
the last name is Calatayud. It's a city in Spain, right between Barcelona and Madrid, somewhere in the middle there. So it comes from Spanish lineage, comes from that, and a lot of people have difficulty saying it. So when I got onto the Le Batard Show, Dan has known my dad from back in the day. They used to, do some stuff together. So he knew me and started calling me Tony, because usually everybody calls me Anthony or Ant, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you grow, that's where I know where you know me from. If you call me a certain name, I know where you know me from. If you call me Ant, if you call me Anthony, you've known me for a long time. You've known me in a different season of life. If you call me Tony, I know you know me from my media career, because that's kind of what my moniker is now. So Dan started calling me Tony, and it stuck. And now it was, people started realizing, oh, he plays basketball. I would put up clips on my social medias. And as that started going, actually my really good friend, my brother, Juju Gotti, who is our social media manager and does everything behind the scenes for us at Le Batard Show, he was like, yo, you should get a 10-day contract with the Heat. And then it kind of stuck. And we were like, oh, wait a second, like 10-Day Tony, like that's got a ring to it. Like it kind of works. So at that point, that was probably like 2021 or 2. And 10-Day Tony was kind of born, and then I've been building that character and that name.
Yeah, you and I met. I didn't know that it was 10-Day Tony because I stopped watching the Le Batard Show. Now you got me back into it. Then I realized 10-Day Tony. I looked into it. I thought it was pretty funny, but I wanted the audience to get a little background on 10-Day Tony.
The idea is I'm good enough to be on a 10-day contract somewhere in the NBA.
You think so?
I mean, no, but maybe like what happened on 33? Maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, like. I was in my super prime.
Yeah, so Sean Moore is one of our editors here, and he asked Keon Dooling, which is part of our team.
Shout out to KD, the boy.
Yeah, KD. So he asked him if he could score 5 points on an NBA guy, and he said, just by looking at you, there's no shot.
That's what KD said about me?
Yeah. No,
about him.
About Sean,
gotcha.
But I wonder if you were to ask him that same question, what would he say? But I know your shot is what?
Depends on the guy.
Right.
Like,
you think you can score 5 points on
a big? I'd probably have a better chance to kind of get around and make some moves, create some distance, even though they could close out easier with contesting, with them being as long as they are, being 7 feet tall or whatever. But I feel like there's a couple bigs I can get around for a couple points.
I would love to see that.
But that's the confidence, right? Like
you gotta have confidence going into it.
That's also part of the 10-Day Tony persona. Is this like larger than life confidence where like, yeah, you put me on the corner three, like the Pacers shoot more corner threes than anybody, right? If you put me in the corner, I'm gonna hit 5 or 6 in a couple weeks span. Oof. Like that's what I'm gonna do. It's like yeah, because I'm not going to get a ton of playing time, but in those playing time minutes that I do, a couple here, a couple there, boom, all of a sudden, 2 threes here, 2 threes there, like I'm locked in.
And you get in a rhythm, and
easy.
That's it. Money. So how'd you start your career in media?
I was playing hoops at Miami Dade, and I had hurt my ankle, destroyed every ligament in my ankle, and then I was like, all right, let me try and figure something else out. I went up to Orlando. I was at UCF for a little bit, kind of spiraled out, didn't really have a plan for my life. I came back to FIU, and I was like, I had played a little bit of high school football too. I played quarterback, have a really good arm, like mobile. I can kind of do my thing. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and walk on to the FIU football team and just do something different, right? Became super disciplined, really heavy into the gym, and like started working out with the trainer, did all my stuff, did the tryouts. Tryouts didn't work because they actually couldn't allow us to use a ball, because then that would take time away from their spring practice. And the rules that were set up, they were like, no, we can't use footballs. And I was like, all right, so I'm a quarterback. How do you want me to show you that I can throw the football if I can't throw the football?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
It was wild, whatever.
Yeah.
But within that, they called me like, hey, look, like, it's not going to happen. We're not going to pick you up. I'm like, all right, cool. I was actually walking by the newspaper, like the FIU newspaper, and I saw a couple guys in there, one guy that I knew, and I was like, yo, what's up? What are you doing here? And he's like, oh, dude, like, I write for the sports page for the newspaper. And I was like, oh, like I think I can do that. And I started writing a little bit for the FIU News, and then I started doing. They basically had a radio station that nobody was a part of, and it was just like a closet with a computer that was just playing music and stuff. So me and my boys started like a little sports radio show. We did like an hour in the mornings. So that kind of kickstarted me into, oh, wait a second. I know I can't play sports right now because of limitations either on my body or by not being chosen, but I can talk about sports. It's like, this is something that I've done my entire life. And now it sparked a little bit of a fire of, oh, wait, I can do this professionally. So I started doing that, and then I branched out and started buying time on a local radio station, 880 The Biz. And I
remember 880 The Biz.
Yeah,
I
okay.
remember
So
that. Yep.
I was the only sports show, 10 o'clock at night on Wednesdays. And I bought the time. And it was me and a couple buddies. Actually, funny enough, we have a really good foundation, a good pedigree of guys that came out of there. But one of the other guys is Alejandro Solana that works at Hockman and Crowder show on 560.
Yep.
Me and him grew up together. That's the kid that I saw in the radio station at FIU, and we started doing stuff together, and all of a sudden he's where he is and I'm where I'm at.
Incredible.
And it started on the AC show, the Andy Calatayud show, but I shortened it because nobody could say Calatayud. So I did the AC show, and he was on it with me and a couple buddies, and that's where it really started. From there, I jumped over to 560, and I started being a producer there. And then from there, I got called up to ESPN, and I started doing stuff at ESPN with their podcasting space. And at that point, like, that was the college experience that I never had because I was so transient in college. Going up to ESPN, living in Connecticut by myself, trying to figure things out by myself, meeting with, the most important people in sports media and having that proximity to them. I was like, oh, I can do this.
Right.
Like, I see what Adam Schefter's doing. I see what Brian Windhorst is doing. I see what, you name it, I saw them in person. Bomani Jones, Zach Lowe, Stephen A. Smith.
How surreal was it for you to get to ESPN and say, like, I'm here at the mothership?
Dude, it's insane. It's insane. And like, you think of just ESPN on your TV, but what it is a massive campus in the middle of nowhere, Connecticut. So think of FIU, think of think of whatever school that you see, that's ESPN's campus. 20 buildings, people walking in and out everywhere. Like, it's insane. So that to me was unreal. And even funny story. So I'm doing a podcast with Adam Schefter. He's in Connecticut, and talk about the surrealness of it. So there's a DoubleTree that's like a mile away from the ESPN campus, and everybody that flies in goes there, stays at the DoubleTree so I can commute easily to the campus. It's like 5-something. We're waiting on Adam to talk to like a coach for the Chargers or like a player for the Chargers. I don't remember who it was, but the practice ran long. So they were like an hour over. So all of his day was kind of backed up, and it was already like 6 o'clock. So there we're waiting. We're done with the interview. He goes, bro, this is kind of weird, but can you take me to the DoubleTree? And I'm like, damn, is my car clean? Like, I'm like, damn, I hope so. I'm like, yeah, of course, let's do it. So Adam Schefter gets in my car, 2 phones, talking on the phone, doing stuff, like sitting next to me, and I'm driving the car to the DoubleTree, and I'm like, please don't crash. Please don't do anything. Don't get pulled over. Cops gonna see me. Like, so that was a moment where I was like, this is normal now.
It humanized them, right? A little bit, right? Yeah.
It humanizes everybody that you see on TV, because if you see somebody that has that kind of stature within the industry, and you see him and you're sitting next to him and you're driving the car,
right?
And it's like, oh, everything is totally normal now.
Yeah.
Like I don't see these people as this person who's so high above. It's like, I'm a colleague now,
right?
That's the moment where it really like turned for me in a sense where I don't really get starstruck by people, because anybody you've talked about or seen, I've seen them in person. I've stood next to Stephen A. Smith at the urinal. You know what I mean? Like, I peed next to Stephen A. Smith. So like, when he becomes president in a couple of years, I'm like, okay, perfect.
He's
like,
one of my favorites, man. I love Stephen A.
He's the GOAT, dude. There's nobody. I love
nobody
Stephen
better.
A.
Yeah.
I love Stephen A. For everybody that tries to say whatever, I love Stephen A. But to that fact, it's like, at that point, you look at these people and they become normal. So that's when things really turned around. And then it's a longer story, but I ended up coming back down to Miami. I got hooked up at the Le Batard Show in March of 2019.
Okay.
And then I've been with them ever since.
Right. And you guys have done great over there, and we'll get into the Le Batard Show. But your experience at ESPN, like, who's one of your like favorite guys that you worked with over there? Or ladies?
Ooh, yeah. Good question. Brian Windhorst was awesome. I used to do his pod for a long time before I left to Metal Arc. Brian was awesome, super gracious, super kind.
You can tell, like, he's that type of person.
Yeah,
Like,
yes.
he resonates that through the TV.
Yes, absolutely. Like
Even
he's-
when like LeBron took a shot at him, and he handled it with the utmost class.
for sure, when people threw trash at him
Yeah.
in New York, like
Yeah.
he's just a stand-up dude. And Windhorse was awesome. He was only there for a little bit, but I was the direct audio producer for what he was doing with Ariel Helwani.
Yeah.
Ariel has been incredible to me, even growing up, not only in the industry, but like realizing, okay, MMA, I want that to be kind of a niche that I do. Ariel is one of the biggest MMA journalists on the planet, and the ability to have connection with him in a way that he's not like, oh, I'm like, you can't get to Stephen A. Smith.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't get to Bill Simmons. You can not get to Dan, right? Like, if you have a relationship with them, those people are incredibly courteous and gracious. Ariel's one of those guys that I can text and be like, yo, can you hop on this with me? Like, hey, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? Like, he's incredibly gracious with his time. So he was a guy for me that I didn't know, because he's not a mainstream guy, but now he's become so much more mainstream with MMA, really hitting like a tipping point of now it's part of the lexicon of, you know, the Bruce Buffer, the Dana White, the Rogan, like everything has really come to a head where it's on the forefront now.
Yeah.
And he's one of the main guys. So him to me is like one of the best guys in the industry.
It's crazy where MMA's at now, right? And now you got the MMA Hangout. So how'd you come about with that show, and what really drew you into MMA?
So I was a big fan of MMA in my high school days, right? Like Forrest Griffin, Anderson Silva,
Oh
like
wow, yeah, the
you know,
Inception.
Shogun Hua, like
Yeah.
all those guys I remember watching, being like, yo, this is sick. And I was like 9th or 10th grades. So we're talking about 08, 09. I graduated high school in 10. So at that point, I was a big Petey last night.
Yeah, making us feel old here.
You know, so and 10 feels a long time away from right now anyway. But that I was big into it, and then I kind of fell off, right? And for the next like 8-9 years, I wasn't really keeping up with it. I wasn't really into it as much. And then when I got the assignment at ESPN, hey, this is Ariel, he's going to be doing an MMA show. At that point, Ariel's show was 5.5 to 6 hours long.
What?
Yeah, live, the entire thing.
That wouldn't work in today's world, in the 30-second world we live in today.
He's dialed it down big time. I think their show's like 4 hours now,
4
or
hours
3
now?
hours.
Damn.
But dude, it used to be 5 to 6 hours, and I would sit there, and it would be 20 MMA guests, and he would fire, bum, 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 talking to this guy, talking to that guy, boom, 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 boom. But dude, the 6 hours would go by like that, and I started falling in love with the characters, the personas. I would see these people, I would hear them, because obviously I'm the producer. I'm hearing what they sound like before they get on the air, talking or whatever, and that really sparked my love for the fight game again. And that was 2018, 19, and then pandemic hits. The only thing that's really popping when everything shuts down is the UFC. So I really started getting back into it, started really diving deep into like, not the technicalities of it, like, oh, this is this, but like when you watch more and more, like you watch football, basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever it is, you start understanding the game better.
Right.
So I would just watch even old fights, go back and rewatch stuff, you know, Conor McGregor stuff, like just all of the lore of the UFC for the prior 10 years and bring it back. And I got my wife into it. Dude, she was locked in during the pandemic where
I can't get my wife to watch it.
Oh my God.
Not 1 second of it.
My wife will not watch football.
And she'll
at all.
watch that?
She watches. If I tell her, hey, babe, this is the card, she's like, oh, this guy's good. He's on a 2-fight win streak. This girl's a beast. I can't believe she's fighting this girl. She's locked in. So anytime the card is up, boom, she's watching it.
That's so cool.
So it gave me the idea. I was like, man, there was one time we had a bunch of people over at the house watching the fights, whatever. And then I kind of sat back and I was like, this is it. This is the idea. This is the MMA hangout. Right? We're all chilling, watching the fights, hanging out, doing our thing, drinking, eating. People are talking shit. Oh my God, people are betting. Like this is the energy that I want to bring on screen and on air. Is this vibe? Is we're all chilling in the back of the house. We're watching the fights. We're doing our thing. So I was like, how can I turn that into content? And for me, I have an incredible right-hand man, Lewis, who's going to be my producer here with the show that we're going to start here on BMG. I told him, yo, Lou, this is what I want to do. I don't really know how we're going to do it, but this is what I want to do. And he's like, all right, let's figure it out. Boom, 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 boom. We started getting people on stream. So it was basically a long stream for the entire fight. And that was good for a year. We did really good numbers. And then from one year to the next, I was like, dude, I wanna really elevate the product. I wanna take it to even higher than what it is, because when you're individually at home, the vibe is not the same. I was like, I want to take it on the road. So I talked to people at Meadowlark, and I was like, how do I turn this into something that we can go out and touch the city and be live somewhere? So they made it happen technically, and we've been doing our stuff at Calatayud on 8th Street. Dead Flamingo now. They'd be upset with me calling it Calatayud. But with that, that was really the impetus of like, all right, we can do something that can be out and about and still bring the same energy, even more so because there's music, there's people drinking, there's people having fun. Like you can hear the ambiance in the back of what we're doing. And I'm just really proud of what that's become, because that's really been a trailblazer for a lot of stuff on the network where people can see, oh wait, Tony can go out and do a live show for 4 hours on a Saturday night. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do that. So it's been a journey, because it's been 3.5 years, almost 4 years of like grinding that. And there's been times where, what you know more than anybody, when it's your baby, when it's your project, when it's got your name on it, you have to do things that other people are not willing to do. True or not true? How do you know that?
Facts,
do you know
man.
that? Do you not know that?
Facts, man.
That is a staple.
Yep.
There's times where I can count 2 or 3 off the top of my head where Lewis got sick, he had something with the kids, people couldn't join, and it was me. 3.5 hours, 4 hours live streaming. Camera straight, me like this, talking for 3.5 to 4 hours about everything that's happening, trying to entertain, trying to do this, trying to do that. So that's where you really build the backbone of
the
what
fortitude.
It is that you, dude, the testicular fortitude of, do you love this or do you not love this?
Right.
And you can tell who loves it and who doesn't love it by the grind. And I feel like that to me is the grind is cruise control for me now.
100%.
Like,
you know, I was telling Petey the other day, we were up in Orlando for Dwight Howard's Hall of Fame induction, and I think we were by like where they load the loading dock, and I told him, you know what's crazy? This does not work for me. This is scary, because I've built other things and that require a lot of work, but this does not work for me. I love it, right? So when you love something, you really take ownership of what it is. It doesn't matter what it takes to do it. You're gonna do it. Right.
And that's what a lot of the MMA hangout was like, I'm going to put this on my back and we're going to figure it out. And then people have jumped on because they see the energy, they feel what's going on. Right. And they're like, oh, can I? I was like, yeah, the door's always open. Yeah. Just know that the door's open, but when it comes time to, I got to put the barbell on my back and I got to lift, I'm ready to do it.
I think you're onto something, right? Like, I think the pivot's coming down with the streaming thing, and I'm starting to open, and you were like 4 years ahead of this, right? Like, now you got Kick, you got Twitch, you got all these things, and now people just want to see like the real, not the produced, stuff that's curated. They want to see like people hanging out and talking shit and drinking and eating and this and that. That's what people want to see today. So you were ahead of your curve. So you got to be proud of yourself for having that idea and that concept.
Absolutely.
And you're doing well with it.
Yeah.
You're doing phenomenal with it. Who's like your favorite MMA guy all time?
Oof.
So let me, 2-part question. Favorite MMA guy all time, and who's your favorite guy right now? And who's an up-and-comer that you see that's going to be on that stage?
Oof, damn, that's a tough question because there's so many guys that are so good. Right now, okay, we'll go all time. All time, I'd probably say John Jones. I love, obviously, current John Jones has gone through a lot, but early John Jones and dominating the fights as he did for so many years and keeping the belt for so many years, that to me was like a show of like just real excellence. And like, you talk about legends, right? Like, he's a legend in the sport. You talk about Brady, LeBron, Jordan, whomever you want. Like, John Jones is that for MMA and for the UFC. So I'd probably say all-time fighter that is my favorite to watch, like in their prime. And unfortunately, the tail end of the career has kind of not gone off gracefully. But I'd probably say John for my favorite. I'd say most exciting all time is Conor.
Conor, of course.
I mean, that's easy. But would you ask me best guy right now?
Yeah.
Islam Makhachev right now, who just gave up the lightweight title to move up to welterweight. He's incredible. Ilia Topuria right now is my favorite fighter.
Okay.
If you tell me who's my favorite fighter right now, it's Ilia Topuria.
Okay. And who's an up-and-comer that people are not thinking of that you see?
Damn, that's a good one. Up-and-comer. I'm trying to think of the weight classes and who's somebody that could really... A lot of the guys we're in this weird period in mixed martial arts where there's a passing of the torch from the Joneses and
That generation to this generation.
to this generation.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys in this next generation kind of already have the belt, right? Merab Dvalishvili, who we just saw beat Sean O'Malley. I would tell you Sean O'Malley, who's that next up and coming superstar, but if Merab's the champion at 135,
right,
there's nothing that Sean O'Malley can do to beat him because he cannot beat him. It's over. 2-0, like there's nothing he can do. So I'd say Sean is one of those up and coming guys, but it's going to be tough with Merab.
Sure.
Moving up to 45. 45 is an old head division. Alexander Volkanovski just won the belt back. Max Holloway's there moved up to 155, but Holloway was a legend, another guy who's just amazing. 55 is Topuria, who is not an up and comer, but still.
This show is brought to you by BTN Connect, powered by Athlete Narrative. Parents, you're probably spending thousands and thousands of dollars trying to get your kid recruited and going nowhere fast. But with this app for $15 a month, solves all the headaches that you're going through. And this app is backed by AI, which saves you a ton of time, and you don't have to write manually and trying to track these coaches down. Be sure to hit the link in our description or in our bio. Sign up now.
So still has a lot of trajectory in his career to move up and to be really good. 170 Islam versus JDM's Jack Della Maddalena, guy out of Australia, who's I'd say probably he's the one up and comer, even though now he has the belt. He beat Bilal Muhammad. Islam's a mother. He's a load.
Yeah,
that guy's unreal. 85 Dricus du Plessis. Hamzat, have you heard of Hamzat Chimaev?
I've heard of him, yeah.
Okay, Hamzat is a guy who's up and coming, kind of established, but has had a lot of stuff in his past where he's missed weight, he's missed fights.
Yep.
There's a lot of like weird medical stuff that's going on. He's tied to a Chechenian warlord, if you want to look that up. Like, there's a lot of stuff, right? There's a lot of stuff that it's like, oh, this is kind of spooky, but when he gets in the ring, he's an absolute killer.
Well, I met a guy. Well, I didn't meet him. They're trying to introduce me to a guy that's like,
who's a Chechenian warlord.
Well, they're trafficking like MMA guys from like Africa and Europe. I'm like, dude, I don't want to end up in jail. Like, I don't think I'm gonna take the beating. But yeah, I know this is a thing.
Yes.
Like, it's a thing, dude, in that sport. Like,
well, that's
how
it
really is.
Francis Ngannou, who used to be UFC heavyweight champion, now is over in PFL. That's how he got to America. He was basically trafficked because imagine he left.
I'm not. You're laughing, but it's a real thing.
He was in Cameroon, right?
Yeah.
Grew up in Cameroon.
Yeah.
Imagine, you've seen what Francis Ngannou looks like, right?
Yeah.
He's a mountain of a man. He's 6. Yeah, exactly. Very easy to hide. 6'5", 280 pounds, but like shredded. Like not an ounce of fat on him. He walked through the desert like 4 different times where he got to the end of the desert. They picked him up and they brought him back, and he kept going till he got to France.
Oh my God.
And then from there started doing stuff. Like, the stories in MMA are wild when you see those guys come from Africa, from Dagestan, from Russia, from the middle of nowhere. They come up and they become
And I'm a
superstars.
casual fan. And but yeah, I know this stuff is going on because I've been approached with it, and I'm like, dude, I'm good.
One name, Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Okay,
guy in the welterweight division, comes from one of the stands. I don't remember where, Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan, one of those places. And he's incredible. He's a machine. That's a guy who's got a weird name. He's kind of in the midst of about to fight for a title. He got hurt, so he couldn't fight for the title at 170, but that's a guy, Shavkat Rakhmonov, who's a stud. Oh, Paddy Pimblett?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
He's just fun.
I like Paddy.
He came from the depths, now he's in
sure, yes. My thing with Paddy is he's continued to prove me wrong, so that makes me more angry. It makes me more like, all right, who's gonna beat this guy's ass, dude? Am I gonna have to do it? Like,
and it's like, you look at that guy, you're like, that guy, I could beat the shit out of that guy.
Yeah.
And then
right, and then he puts you in a Kimura and breaks your arm, and
breaks
you're
your
like,
arm,
okay.
and then
carry the boat, son.
Perfect, dude.
those guys are the best at impersonating. All right, so getting off the MMA subject, you go to Le Batard's, you're on that show. I think Dan's probably one of the most talented guys in this space.
Easily.
Just his perspective on things and just the way he looks at things and the way he articulates things, right? Like I just think he's phenomenal, and he's got a real talent. But working there and being alongside of him, what are some of the things you've learned?
So the thing about the Le Batard Show is that it is a comedy show disguised as a sports show, right? Like we touch on sports and we touch on other topics and whatever, but the core of the show is how do we get to the joke and who's going to make it and how do we make it, right? What being on the show for the last couple of years has taught me is to work in really tight windows, because as you can see from social media or from the show, listening to it, watching it, there's a lot of people in the room, right? At any given time, there's 7 people in the room who have 7 different jokes, you have 7 different opinions, and you have to defer to the ones that are in the opposite side of the studio, being Dan, Stugotz, Greg Cody, whoever it is that's in there. You have to kind of work the ball around them. So they're juggling the show, and then you throw something in that they continue to juggle. So working in tight windows it's almost like being really good in like AA, right? It's like, all right, you're in the majors, but we're going to send you down to the minors. You're going to get some starts. You're going to see live pitching. You're going to see live bat. You're going to see things to try and get you up to speed for when you hit the major leagues. And early on, it's tough to try and get a word in edgewise, because while people are doing the double dutch, there's one conversation happening here.
Right.
There's another conversation happening diagonally to that one, but they work in sync
Right.
with each other. So a lot of what we've been able to learn, and what I've been able to learn personally, is work in tight windows, be funny quick, right? Like that's Dan's thing. You want to be funny quick.
Quick, right.
If you have an opinion, be quick. Get in, get out, be precise. And people that are long-winded, there's sometimes where the joke, the mountain of the joke falls on them because of the fact that they're not quick with it, right? Like
right.
you get caught saying a couple things and you're a little bit too long, that internal ticker. It's almost like being a QB, right? You have an internal clock of
3 seconds.
1, 2, 3, somebody's coming.
Right.
And that kind of speeds up what it is that you're trying to say. And as you guys know, being in podcasting and being in media, like the more sped up you are, the worse it is for your mind to your tongue. You're going to mess up. You're going to say things that don't make sense.
Right.
You're going to have a dismount that doesn't make sense. But that's where the show thrives. Somebody says something stupid, and then all of a sudden it starts, oh, you said this, oh, this is...
Right.
So...
Yeah, it feels like it's just a bunch of guys just hanging out, or girls hanging out in a house and just talking shit.
Yes.
That's what it feels like.
And it's taught me to be quick, be funny quick, be smart quick. But I've also had the opportunities with the MMA Hangout, with Sunday Night Live, which was a live streaming show after all the NFL games, where I would kind of run through the gambit of what happened on that Sunday, where I would be live, just me, for almost an hour.
Right.
It's just me and the camera and football, and we go. It's taught a lot of those opportunities have taught me the opposite of it, right? Which is be funny quick, be smart quick. All right, now I got to be long funny. Now I got to be smart long.
Right.
Now I got to continue a conversation with just me.
Right.
Right. I have to bring up topics. I have to cut them down. I have to give a better resolution. I have to do this. I have to do that. And it's allowed me to do both, in a sense where now whatever the content is, if it's long, if it's short, if it's live, if it's pre-taped, if it's scripted, if it's not scripted, like I can be dropped anywhere. I'm like Bear Grylls at this point. You drop me anywhere, whatever content, I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to do it to the best of what I can do, because I've seen everything. Right. Like there's like nothing that I haven't seen. Right. Is there 3-hour live show? Yeah, seen it, done it. Don't say something stupid that can get you canceled or fired. Yep, done it. Perfect. Can you be funny in 2 seconds between 2 conversations? Yep. Here, boom. So it's like, it's taught me a lot of things that I can use within the scope of what we do at the Le Batard Show, but also as I now branch out and start doing stuff on my own, it allows me to take a lot of those things that I've sharpened through the years of that and use it here.
Yeah, before we get into, coming here with us, give me one of your favorite moments on the Le Batard Show, because there's many.
Yeah, there's so many.
There's so many of them, but one that comes to mind.
I jumped out of an airplane live.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I saw you do a cannonball into a pool.
Do the cannonball into the pool. That's normal. That's on the intro every day.
Yeah, that's on the intro.
Yeah. The Red Bull team who like jumps out of planes. They hit up the show and they're like, hey, we're here in
There's
town.
nothing you can fucking pay me to jump out of a fucking pool.
Really?
Fuck that. And I've been offered.
It's sick.
Dude.
It's sick. Can I tell you it's sick?
Yeah, I know. My wife's done it.
There's nothing like it.
Really?
There's nothing like it. Do you ride roller coasters?
Love them.
Okay. It's like riding a roller coaster. That's it.
I love roller coasters.
It's like riding a roller coaster.
Yeah, I just don't know, man.
You're a little bit more important than I am.
No, it's not about. It's not about that. But I didn't even take that into consideration. Honestly, it's just I'm probably a pussy. Okay. That's probably what it is.
Okay. That was a really cool moment. The Red Bull guys were like, hey, we want to send a couple people to like skydive with us, and you guys got to understand, like, there's the OG crew of the Le Batard show, right, and then there's the people that came on after. And as one of the people that came on after, I have to hustle and push harder than anybody else to get screen time, to get FaceTime, to get my voice heard. So when you're in that space and you're hungrier because you're on the outside looking in.
Yeah, you're trying to make a name for yourself.
How do you
in the
break
space?
in?
Yeah.
Right. When these guys have had a 10-year head start of relationship with the people who do the show, that camaraderie with the audience already. When you're coming into a show that people have listened to for 15 years already, how do you make your own name?
Right.
And I had to do everything and anything to get my name out there and to be that person. So when the opportunity came up to skydive with the Red Bull team, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Where do we got to go? Florida City? Okay, vamos, let's go. And me and Chris Whittingham, who's no longer on the show, he's doing stuff with CBS and soccer and Paramount and all that. We were like, all right, let's do it. And drove down to Florida City or Homestead or wherever it was. Like, bro, it was on 300th Street and like 350th Street.
Yeah,
like, I didn't even know the map goes that far in Miami-Dade County, right? Chrome was like, I passed Chrome and I kept going. I was like, damn, how far are we going? But that was cool. What I'm going to do coming up, we haven't done it yet, but I think this is going to be one of my favorite moments. Something that I've done personally, which I'm going to go out to Vegas. We have UFC 317 coming up next weekend, June 28th. The 27th, I'm going to go to Extreme Couture in Vegas, training with like guys like Ngannou, Strickland, Aljamain Sterling, Dan Ige, like Brad Tavares, legends, people that have weight in the MMA game. Eric Nixick, who's 3-time MMA Coach of the Year. I'm going to train with him. And then I'm going to try and lightly spar Brad Tavares, who's the middleweight, who has the middleweight wins record. So that to me,
when you say train, like what is train?
He's going to put me through what a world champion MMA fighter would be going through.
I can't wait to see
Of course, my production people are like, please don't kill him, right? He's got a show to do on Saturday. He's got a kid at home. Please don't kill him. But that's something that when you talk about what makes you excited in the industry, right? 18 weeks of football and you do a live stream after every Sunday is exciting, but then it gets to a point where like, all right, what else? Right? MMA Hangout's fun when we're doing it at home, but what else? Okay, we're going to take it live.
Right.
Okay, we're going to take it out to a bar.
Right.
It's always looking for that next thrill, that next thing, and doing stuff in the studio isn't as fun when you don't have that other outlet of, all right, I'm going to go out and do something. I'm going to go maybe get my ass kicked by a UFC fighter.
Yeah, it gets repetitive, man.
I'm going to jump out of an airplane. Or a lot of the stuff I do, which I think I do better than anybody, is I'm very good man on the street style. So we'll take what we call live view. It's like this thing where connects live to, not to get super technical, connects live to our studio at DLS, and we can essentially live stream on the go. Right, so I'll go to Little Havana and I'll do those things of talking to people in Little Havana, mixing Spanish and English. Like being on like that is something that fires you up. So when you ask me my favorite moments, being out, asking people where the Panthers play, and them telling me no Peru, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't matter. Like, what? Excuse me, permiso. right? Like things like that, jumping out of the airplane, doing what I'm going to do with the UFC stuff. Like that to me is some of my best memories, my most happy memories.
So yeah, and you had to do these things to create a connection with the audience, and I think you've created a connection with the audience because a lot of them had a heart attack yesterday when you posted that you were coming over here with us, and a lot of them, please don't, you know. And but talk a little bit about what this next step in your career is. You've come over with us, and I'm truly grateful that you gave us an opportunity to be able to work with you and really support you and really grow you personally.
Yeah,
right? Like get your voice out there in this media space, because I think you're super talented, and we're very lucky to have you here. So talk a little bit about what you see for yourself. What is your show going to be about? All those things that you see for yourself in the future.
Yeah. Well, first I want to thank you, and I appreciate everything you said, A, and B, the opportunity to go out and show you what I can do, right? Because it's a tandem thing of like, you believe in me, I believe in you, like let's go make it happen.
Yep.
And I think that to me is very important, because I've been through, like what I said at the beginning, to go from A to B, or from A to Z on how I started my career to where I am now. I gave you the very high cliff notes, right? Like I didn't talk about having to be a production assistant, a promotions assistant, where I would go out to like Sawgrass Ford and put up a tent and sit there with a wheel and be like, hey, the next 5 hours to get my foot in the door, the next 5 hours I have to be here until I can one day maybe be a producer.
Right.
I didn't talk about that. I didn't talk about the people that didn't believe in me. Which my past is littered with those, right? There's people that are looking to where I'm at now and be like, how did we not see it? B, how did I not see it? How did I not see the vision of what this kid was doing, because he was outworking everybody every step of the way?
Though?
No, it feels amazing. but Andy, here's the thing, like,
because I know what you're feeling. Like I've been doubted in this space, or you're not from this space, or you guys are a bunch of, like, I've heard it all. And now they're like, damn, how are you even at this point? Now they're quiet. They're not saying much, but I know later they're going to come out of the woodwork.
But here's what, they turn quiet and then they turn hater.
Yeah.
To me, another one of my monikers, another one of the things that I really do is we're sponsored by the haters. That's what we do. You can bring me any sponsor. The haters are my number one sponsor.
Yeah.
And as many people show love on IG, on Twitter, on whatever, as many people or more so show hate, right? They don't like where I stand. They don't like how I act. I remind them of somebody that they don't like. My bravado, my confidence is something that offends them, or is like, oh, that reminds me of this guy who used to bully me. Whatever the microcosm,
the connection,
exactly. Whatever it is that you project onto me, that's fine. I'll take it, because we're moving, right? Like we're going to keep moving things forward. So I appreciate believing in me, right? Because there's been a lot of places, a lot of stops down the way of my career where I didn't get the opportunities. I had to make them myself. I had to buy time on a show. I had to do this. I had to do that to be where I am today. So going forward into the future, like obviously I'm still with the Dan Le Batard Show. Like that's bread and butter. I love what I do there. But in the same time, this media landscape is changing so much, where direct to consumer is basically where everybody's going, right? Building your own platform is the most important thing. And as I've been able to prop up my character, my content within what Dan's doing, and I'm beyond grateful that I've been able to do that for as long as I have, and that he's trusted me to know my not my boundaries, but trusted me to know the lines that I can color in, and allows me to color a little bit outside of them, which is something I'm very appreciative of. But going forward, BMG, it was like, how can I grow my brand? How can I grow my platforms to be something that 3, 5, 10 years down the line, we're having a completely different conversation about what my career is. And I felt like when we've had many conversations, many hours of conversations, of vision, of strategy, of like, what's next, of how can we move differently? Like, what's the future look like? It was easy. It was like, all right, this guy believes in me. This guy has the resources. He has the ingenuity. He has the respect of his guys, right? Like that's things that I look at. Do they respect him? Do when he says something, do things get done? Like that's kind of stuff that you look at and you be like, all right, that's a leader. That's somebody who knows what he's doing, knows where he's going, knows how to get there.
I appreciate that.
That's important to me, right? Like I want to be able to grow into something where we are both experts in what we're doing, and we're working parallel to grow this, to grow me, to grow you. So it just kind of was a perfect fit. It was you basically gave me a blank check and said, do whatever you want to do. Do what you want to do. Whatever you want, I don't care. Let's do it.
Yep.
And that to me is music to my ears because I've had to fight to get this, get that. How do I put everything together? So that's what kind of my show is going to be, right? It's going to be the 10 Day Tony Show. And we're going to be on YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, Kick, wherever it is that you can stream. I don't want to give the complete details out of what we're going to be doing yet. But it's going to be very much me, right? It's going to be sports. It's going to be culture. It's going to be music. It's going to be all the things that I've been told, hey, you're spread out too thin on what you like. You need to focus on one thing. And my rebuttal to that is like, why? Why focus on just football? Why focus on just basketball? Why focus on just MMA or just music or just culture or just this or watches or shoes or whatever? Like the things that I have interest in, I want to talk about, right? And I think it allows me to have the space to have different branches of the 10 Day Tony tree where I talk about different things for different niches. If you like watches, cool. Like you're going to like what I do because I like watches too. And I'm going to have certain little aspects, certain little videos, certain little things where we can work and we can talk about this, right? Even if it's 5-10 minutes, hey, this is the latest thing. This is cool. This is not, whatever. Obviously my bread and butter is sports, football, basketball, MMA. I want to bring that together and bring that to the people in a way that I can be me, right? In a long form, and we're not talking long form of 5 hours, but in a 30-minute, 40-minute, hour-long thing, if we're really cooking, that allows us to get all the topics that we want to talk about and have fun doing it. So it's going to be, the show is going to be uniquely me. And I think that's what I'm proudest of.
Yeah, I think you're ready for it. I think you are a super talented individual, and you've paid your dues in this process. So now it's time to take that next step with your personal brand, the 10 Day Tony brand. And I'm more than grateful that you gave us this opportunity to work alongside you. We're going to learn a lot from you. I tell people I don't have all the answers, but I like to have the people that do. Have all the answers on our team. So I go try to recruit the best of the best, and you fall into that.
Thank you, bro.
For sure. So looking forward to it. Any final words? Anything else you want to get in? Really quick question. MJ or LeBron?
MJ.
Good answer.
MJ.
All right, good. All right, next.
Any final words? No, man, I'm excited. Like this is like the next step, right? In this career and in this business, you're always looking for who can be the next step for my career, right? And you're always attached to something, whether it be one of the legacy media guys, whether it be just under that new up and coming media people that have broken into the space and have resources and stuff. But I was worried, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was worried when I was in that flux of time, when I had just stopped playing sports and didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I was thinking about going to law school. I was thinking about...
How boring.
Right? Even though I probably would have been a decent sports agent. I still keep that in my back pocket. I would have been decent.
Well,
but
we have an NIL branch, so if you want to dabble in that, you can.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, nah, I got to invest in that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And when I felt like this was the pull of, all right, I think I want to do this, I was worried because there's not a lot of these jobs. Right. And people, I think a lot of the hate, and I'll call it hate, but a lot of the whatever that emotion is people see what I do and are jealous of it.
Yeah, of course.
And they're like, damn, like I'm better than him. Why can't I do that?
Right.
Or why does he get to have fun doing this and I'm stuck behind a cubicle for 10 hours a day in fluorescent lighting and I can't leave to go to lunch and I bring a sad tuna salad. Like those are things that I'm acutely aware of, and I'm super blessed that my career has gone the way it's been. But like it's been a scary ride.
Yeah.
Right. Like even now, like you always look back and be like, oh, that was so easy 5 years ago. Well, I didn't have all the answers, but like look how everything. My life turned out okay.
Yeah.
You have those same thoughts now, and you see where the media landscape is going, and obviously I'm blessed to be part of one of those like legacy media outlets now, where now that is kind of not the legacy, but that next medium, and I want to be able to do things on my own and be happy with the content that I do and unlock the next level of work ethic that I think I have, and I really put it into investing into myself. Like I've spent 10 years investing for others. Like now take that and invest into myself.
Yeah, that's the best investment you're ever going to make. And just to, as we're in closing here, but just to touch on your point about people always come to me for business advice or this or that, or how'd you even get there? Like, wow, you like the fear, this, that, the other. I'm like, man, just take that step. And as you take that step, you take another step, and you're going to take another step. And what's going to happen is you're going to start evolving through the process, and you're going to start figuring things out. And you're going to have failures through that process. But I always tell our team is like, if you're failing, that means there's action towards, gain. There's action towards things happening for you. If you're not failing, that things are not going to happen for you because there's inaction. Right. So you're here because you put in the action behind it. So, it's easy for people to say, it's just the world we live in, man. It's easy to say, oh, I can do that. But why didn't you? You have the same opportunity everybody else has. Some circumstances are different than other, but circumstances shouldn't dictate what your, future is going to look like if you put action behind it. So in this game,
Andy, we all have this.
Yeah, 100%.
We all have this.
Yeah.
Like, you know how many people got, bro, look at guys like Drewski. Drewski was making videos 10 years ago on his phone, and nobody watched, nobody cared. And now you see him on Forbes making $14 million a year. You see guys like Aiden Ross, who just bought a $25 million place in Davie. Like that 10 years ago, nobody knew who Aiden Ross was.
Nope.
And now he's one of the biggest streamers on the planet. Had Trump on, has Drake on. Kai Cenat, the same thing. Like that's the world that we're living in now, where anybody can turn on a shitty webcam because the visuals aren't great on Kai Cenat's stream, on Aiden Ross's stream, on all these guys' stream. It's literally a webcam that they put on the top of the thing and have the most famous people in the world on. Anybody can do this. The problem is, are you willing to invest the time and the grind? And I'm ready.
Joe Rogan took him 5 years, right? And with his platform and coming from Fear Factor and MMA and this, that took him 5 years in this space. So, it is what it is. They're gonna hate, and that's fun.
I'm sponsored by the haters. I love this. I love the haters.
It's part of the process. And
my number one sponsor.
Right? Yeah, love it, man. Hey, thanks, man. Looking forward to doing it, brother. Welcome to the family, man.
Thank you, bro. I'm really excited. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Beyond the narrative. Beyond the narrative.
Best in class, so pray for my peers. Slingshot bullet, it's clear. Your weak shots couldn't pierce through bulletproof ears. A martyr, a menace. I'm leading horses to drink and pulling teeth like I'm feeding the dentist.
Beyond the narrative.